All right, I think we're ready to go, everyone.
Yep.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Christopher Bourret from the Providence Public Library. I'm the Education Director. Just like to say a few notes before we move on today. If you don't know, the Providence Public Library is an interesting library because we have our own education department. We have a lot of programs for youth, for teens, and for adults too. A lot of our programs focus on workforce training and especially on building technology skills. From our efforts over the last few years, this is how we got involved with Tableau and data analytics. And we run a course, two-part course called Data Navigators. And a lot of our speakers tonight and have gone through our courses and on to bigger and better things too. And I think they could speak for at some point about these classes. But we're really happy to host those classes at our library and help upskill the youth and workers of today and tomorrow. And a part of our efforts have spawned this group, the Round Tableau Users Group, because we had no such local affiliation. So we've been pushing it out the last few years. Unfortunately, we've been virtual for the last year and a half, but we're hoping to go back in person for the next meeting in December. So first thing we're going to do tonight is we're going to do some quick polling with from Bill Rebello, the team, and I'll do some Right to Leadership team introductions. We're going to look at the latest Data for Good project. We'll explain what that is later on too. And we're going to follow up with our presentation from Pranav Modak. Oh, and I realize I have the wrong agenda. This is from June. Oh no. Of course, technical difficulties. Oh, I'm going to stop sharing. Bill, would you like to do some polling for the audience tonight?
Yeah, sure. Let me, just gonna, hold on a second.
Welcome everybody again.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. And as Bill's getting that up, the link to the poll is in the chat. So you can kind of pull it up and you'll have kind of a waiting screen. So don't worry, you didn't go to the wrong place. Bill likes to wait till everybody's in before he makes the magic happen. So you can click that link. Hopefully everyone can see it that's in the meeting. Sometimes when you join, I have to keep posting it. So I'll keep posting that for everybody. But we'll probably just ask a couple questions about what industry you're working in. So we have a reasonable list, about 10 plus. We try to cover most bases, but we don't want everyone saying other. So that's why the list is kind of long. And we want to get to know what you guys want to learn about in our future sessions. And Bill, I'll let you take over whenever. I just didn't want to have silence, so I figured I'd just talk.
Thank you, Rebecca. Good filler.
Yeah, it was excellent. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the poll and how it works. Let me give you an example. Here it is right here. Okay, so we're going to ask a question, and this is the URL. Rebecca is going to put in the comment section, correct, Rebecca?
It's already there. It's already there.
This is the URL you go to so you can vote. Okay, once you vote, you're going to see probably this blank screen. You will see this blank screen until I release the poll. It'll pop up in the window. And then you'll see something like this, the question. Okay. And at the bottom here, you make your selection, just click on one of the circles and vote. And then I'll show you what the results were. So we'll give you some time to do that. So I'm going to actually go in and I'm going to go in and release the first question.
Release the hounds, Bill.
So you need, remember, you need to put that URL in. So, and here's the first question. You should see that in the polling section.
So instead of looking at the Zoom, everyone should go to their own internet.
Right.
You click the link and go to their.
And take your time. So you click, remember, click and then hit the vote button. So our first question is, what subjects you like added to the Rhode Island Tug meeting agenda? We're starting to see some of the results right now.
Oh, wow, we can watch it grow. What a beautiful data visualization you have, Bill.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Took me years to develop this.
Seems to be a close one, but yeah, I think it's done.
Okay. I'll give it a few. Well, I'm going to wait a little.
Oh wow. Yeah. That's weird.
Sometimes it takes people a while to close the Zoom, get open.
Oh, yeah.
Internet,
And then get used to the whole thing. Yep. So we'll give it another 30 seconds or so, see where we are. Okay. Wow, that's really great. Okay, I'm going to go, if that's it, I'm going to go and release the second question.
I think it already released. It asked me, Bill, what I want to see in the second meeting. Maybe my vote doesn't count because I jumped the gun.
So you should see the new one now, and here we go. Should see the results of that in a couple of minutes.
Bill,
Yes,
this question is about what industry we're in.
yes.
Thank you.
Oh,
The reason we're asking these questions, by the way, there's a need here. We're trying to make sure that we're presenting and organize the Tableau, Rhode Island Tableau user group that satisfied your needs. So we're trying to see what industry, we're trying to understand what you'd like to see at the meetings. We go back, our team goes back and we analyze this stuff and try to make the next meeting satisfy what we've learned from the poll. The other thing I noticed in the last time we did this, what industry you were in, there were a lot of others. So I tried to expand it out to cover more. I even did a little research in Rhode Island and saw some of the top industries and make sure they were listed here. So I hope I captured them all. And some people do not want to tell us.
Or they're shy, or they're looking for work, which is a great place, right?
That's the other.
Be looking for work because you can network here, and especially the in-person. We're hoping December or November we might get an in-person one, but we can still connect this way too.
Yep. Well, I think that's what we're going to get. Going to hold off for like 15 more seconds and assume we've got all the votes in. Okay, so those are the results. Education's on the top, followed by insurance and technology industries. Life sciences. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, next I'd like to present Rhonda Alexander from the Rhode leadership team. She's gonna.
Sorry, Chris.
Yeah.
I don't think Rhonda's here tonight.
Yeah, she's here. Yeah, she's here.
My bad.
I made
Rhonda,
it.
you made it.
Take this out.
I'm passing off to Rhonda.
Just coming in under the wire. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I just want to share a little bit about the Ride Tech leadership, or Ride Tech leadership. And basically, it's an initiative to kind of meet and grow the Tableau community and really the data viz community. We want to be all inclusive. That's students, people that work professionally, learners, data geeks, anybody that has interest is welcome to participate. The current team is Bill Rebello and Chris Bourret. They're the senior part of the leadership team, and they've been working together for a long time and doing a lot of initiatives with the library. And Bill works with his organization, DataView Academy. And the newer members, myself included, Rhonda, Rebecca, Anastasia, and Pranav. So I'm currently managing administrative functions. Rebecca is our membership coordinator. Anastasia will soon be doing some tips and tricks. That's kind of her wheelhouse. And Pranav is helping us out a lot with speaking and also recruiting speakers so that we can get you interested or get the interest fulfilled that you guys want to see and hear. One of the other things we also have tonight is the announcing that we have a community page. So we're going to post in the link the community page, and we'd really like that to develop to be a place where anybody that has any type of questions, or an organization where you're looking for opportunities, a tip, a trick, a problem, anything that we can work together and build a community on, is a great place to start. So tonight we'll reference that a few times, and I'd like to welcome everybody again this evening. Next, I'm going to head off and I'm going to let Bill present his Data for Good projects.
Okay, thank you, Rhonda. this going. It's always a slag. Okay,
Bill, that looks good.
there we go. Rhode Island Tableau User Group. We've been doing this for a few years now, a couple of years now. I think we've done 14, 15 data for good projects. And we've done 2 or 3 already this year, and we've got a new one that we're currently working on. And we've got another one in the backlog. So this always happens. There's this delay when I try to change screens. It's taking a second here. There we go. Okay, we're always looking for people to join our Data for Good projects. And this is really, on the left side, is really the commitment. And it's usually 4 weeks and approximately 20 hours. And what you do in that, we clean data, create visualizations, help us understand what the requirements are. So that's really what the role is. And people love that because what you gain from it is really, you get visibility to potential employers. You get to work on data you normally don't work on. And the main thing is, obviously, we help the nonprofit better understand their data, and that makes a big difference in a lot of cases. So what else do we have? Oh, at the bottom here, these are some of the Data for Good projects we've already completed, or this last one, we're still in the process. We're going to wrap that one up tomorrow night. So what we're working with now is the Student Council for Immigrant Justice. And this is the mission of the organization, run by Jonathan Goldman. This company actually is based in downtown Boston, but this nonprofit works with all the colleges. In fact, it sounded like we made kind of a connection between them and Salve Regina College. So that may work out for both of them. It's really great. It's where they can get some students in this program. Now, the requirements obviously are listed here. We're going to create some charts. We're trying to figure, he wants to actually create slides to attorneys and schools to show them what exactly they do in the program and how effective they are. But I think we're going to get out of this a little bit more, because some of those visualizations are going to be interactive. So I think he's going to be surprised how useful that is. We'll satisfy this requirement, but I'm sure he'll have the opportunity to use the interactive ones, which is actually the power of Tableau. The project team is listed here. The current project challenges were cleaning the data and creating the survey viz. Many of the people, I think, on the project, analyzing survey data was kind of new. It is a little different approach, and I think you have to go through a couple of these projects to kind of get the knack of what's going on in this when you're analyzing survey data. And the project results, we haven't completed the project. We're hopefully wrapping it up tomorrow. So the next time we meet, I think it's in December, we will bring the team together and we'll look at the results of this project, and some of the team members will present their viz and show it to the group. With that said, Rebecca's kind of going to go give us like a 5-minute overview of what we're doing and some of the issues that we've ran into with the project. So Rebecca, you want to talk about this for a couple of minutes?
Absolutely. So I am in the process of sharing my screen. Can you guys see a big orange thing that says Slides and Chart by Rebecca Rhodes?
Yes.
All right. So I'm Rebecca Rhodes. I'm really happy to have the opportunity to have met Bill so many years ago and on our journey to learn Tableau. And we got certified together as our Tableau desktop specialist. And I just can't believe how much he loves to share and teach people Tableau. And he's really made Rhode what it is. And I can't wait till we get back in person in the ship room and the Providence Public Library so we can feel the energy and see the recruiters. And so I'm just really excited for what he's built and how we're carrying it on, even we are virtual. So I also work at Citizens Bank as an operations analyst. So this is SCIJ, and one of the things that it's important when I think you do any work for a client is to really know who the end audience is for the vises that you create. And sometimes what data analysts envision and visualize is to get nitty gritty and all the data, and I can do this crazy box plot and whiskers and this, but sometimes people need something simple that they can present realistically, and maybe they don't have internet where they're going to present to their audience. So I didn't start creating for this project, and it's still ongoing, a very whiz bang type visualization. I thought, how is the stakeholder going to present this, and who do they need to influence? So he mentioned that he wanted a PowerPoint, so just putting our vises in a PowerPoint. And I thought, okay, well, he's going to be talking to attorneys, and of course they want their logo front and center because they're trying to convince attorneys, hey, you should work with us because we can help you achieve the goals you want to achieve. And so I just picked, a photo, and what attorneys report they need are these top 5 things. So I looked in the data and saw, students need to help attorneys by working on affidavits, doing research on country conditions, etc. But I also wanted to talk about survey data challenges because I think we learn from each other as specialists and data analysts when we learn from each other's mistakes and challenges. And that's something that I would not have thought to present, but Bill has always put that on his slide for the Data for Good. And I thought, wow, what a great way to connect and work through issues with other data analysts. So I never thought that I would need to meet with the client multiple times to pinpoint the audience and the format and the point of the visualizations. But as I have worked on more and more projects with Bill, and he brings the client into almost every meeting, so we meet 3 or 4 times with the client. And at first I thought, man, we don't need to talk to him that much, or she. And every meeting, something else critical comes out of the meeting. They just go, oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. And I go, oh my gosh, that changes everything about what kind of visualization I'm going to make, what kind of data I'm going to highlight. So meeting with your client, your nonprofit, whoever it is, multiple times so they can really tell that story, I think is really important. And I'm trying to press next on my slide. I clicked on the chat. So, is that chat in your all's way? No?
No.
So 3 things about cleaning the data. One is just cleaning it for Tableau. And Jen Snyder, I think I said your name right, she cleaned our survey data to make it fit in Tableau's brain. You know how it likes more columns than, no, I'm going to say it backwards, but it likes data in this very specific way. And survey data is tough because the questions are long, the answer choices are long, and she did some magic. I'm telling you, she has 15 to 20 years of experience of using survey data. So if you ever have to use a survey, do some research about how to get it efficiently in Tableau. And then the second bullet point there is to clean the survey answer choices within one question. So if you have questions that are select all that apply, you may have 12, 13 options, and people can check one, they can check all 12. And sometimes those options, the answer choices, are very similar to each other. So when you're designing the survey or where you're working with your client, go to that detail. Say, hey, if there's 3 questions that talk about using affidavits, maybe just have one answer choice or question about affidavits. So that way the data is clean and we know that how many votes or results are for that. And then cleaning data between questions. So this was interesting because we had in this project attorney questionnaires and student questionnaires. So they asked similar questions, but the answer choices had different verbiage. So they were saying the same thing to the attorney and the student, but they were different words and different grammar. So the answers didn't seem to match up, but they actually did. So you had to kind of dig deeply. And I think I'm probably at the end of my minutes here. So we'll see if my PowerPoint can keep going. I hope that people weren't messaging me saying, stop, Rebecca, stop, because I didn't see you. But here's an example of kind of 3 answer choices in a select all or check all that mention the same idea, like declaration / affidavit and declarations, which our client told us are the same thing as affidavits. So this question is difficult for data analysts because we must make sure that we total these 3 together and only count them as one answer. But I won't bore you with the crazy details. So I'll go to either back to Bill, or if we have the next person on deck that wants to share their screen with their data viz.
Yeah, I think Rhonda,
Pranav.
Provnev's next, right?
Yep. All right. Just give me a moment. I will.
And while Pranav is sharing, you guys can see our beautiful Tableau community page. Oh, you're so fast, Pranav.
Yeah, that was quick. Anyway, so hello everyone. My name is Pranav Modak. So I reside in Toronto and I work as an independent business consultant. Today I will be talking about efficient data visualizations. And I'll be strongly referencing this book called Storytelling with Data. And there's some content for Makeover Monday, but I think these 2 books are so necessary to improve your data visualization skills because they give key concepts that can literally make or break a visualization. So that being said, I want to talk about charts in general. As we all know, a lot of charts can be improved.
That's an understatement.
Yep, I'm being polite. So you have misleading pie charts. So everyone, pie charts are like the enemy of good viz sometimes, but especially pie charts without any labels that makes things even worse. And you have multiple colors. Or you may have so many colors on one chart that are not aligned. Like if I was to look at this, what am I supposed to make of this? There's nothing to compare. And sometimes you may just have the wrong chart type. Now there's a chart called a heat map, which is a lot better when you have so many lines showing. So sometimes it's just a question of selecting the right chart. So this is the first, I'm setting the stage for a series of lectures moving forward, where I will be talking about some basic visualization practices that will help improve your data visualization skills. So there are these topics that I will be going through 2 at a time during the future lectures. The first one is building context about the data. Always trying to understand who is your audience, what is the exact problem you're trying to solve, what is the relationship with the audience. These questions, although trivial sometimes, can completely change the direction of your visualization. The next one is designing for the audience. Now, okay, you have an idea about who your audience is, what the main problem is, but you need to understand how are they going to be viewing your data. Is it going to be through a PowerPoint presentation, a PDF, or an interactive visualization? What is their data visualization literacy? Are they familiar with advanced charts, or do you have to stick with simple line charts? So these details are very important. The next one is choosing the right visual display metrics and KPIs. As you all know, there are multiple hundreds of different charts, from heat maps to line charts to radial charts to donut charts. And each one has a different use and purpose based on the situation and the real estate on your dashboard. Choosing the right metric is also extremely important, because should this be a summation? Should this be an average? Should this be a percentage of the total? What is the metric that best represents the problem? And even so, key performance indicators, any particular ratio that you'll have to analyze over time, something that defines the key success or failure of a department. The next one is eliminating clutter and keeping it simple. As much as possible, it's nice if you can preserve white space on your dashboard, because anything that you put on it takes away mental processor capability. So before you add anything to a dashboard or a workbook, it is good to think, okay, will this add any value or information to the people viewing this dashboard? And there are many details that can be missed out. Like, for example, you have an XY chart where you have all the labels on the X axis and the Y axis. And you can ask yourself, what if I just put the label on the line and hide the labels and hide those axes, reducing what you see on the dashboard? Um, the next one is good attention to detail and formatting. Make it look professional. Things like making sure that the units are displayed correctly, the font size is correct, making sure the company logo is on the appropriate, on the dashboard. The next one is focusing your audience's attention, selective use of coloring, sizes, walking through your dashboard to the audience. Like, okay, this is the one part of the graph that stands out the most. And using the colors and sizes very selectively. Finally, telling a story. It's always nice if you present your dashboard in the form of a story, walking through like, okay, this was the initial state. After some time, they discovered this problem, and after implementing the solutions, this was the result. But adding more narrative to the dashboard can make a lot of difference in how people remember the dashboard. And the last point is following up with the audience sometime later can be very helpful, because you also want to understand, was your dashboard impactful? So sometimes people finish a dashboard, they submit it to their clients, but usually no one follows back after 30 days. Hey, I'm just checking to see if my dashboard's being used or if you have any feedback. And then you can use your feedback for future dashboards. So I'm giving some examples of some good visualizations versus bad visualizations with some case studies. Okay. So meet John. He's a service manager who needs to make a business case to the human resource department to hire 2 more service team members after 2 service members quit in May. However, the company thinks that the service department is already overstaffed, and they will only approve new hires if the business case is strong enough. So John has only the following data with him. He has a number of tickets received over time, the number of tickets processed over time, and he provides his data to the company's analyst. Okay. So the analyst came back with this chart. Now, can you I can see like this chart may not be the best chart for a business case, because you have so many different bars and you have to compare the height differences between the bars, from the month of January to December. And only then you can sort of conclude that, okay, I think more tickets are being, received and then processed. But put yourself in the human resources manager's shoes. Like, you have so many things going on during your day. You just finished a job interview. You have, someone has quit, and now you have to hear this business case. Like, most people just don't have the mental processor capability to compare the height of each bar. However, if we present it in this format, it's a line chart, which has selective use of coloring, gray for received and blue for processed, with some more context that 2 employees quit in May. And as you can see that before they quit, there was the red line, the blue line, and the gray line were quite close together. But after that, there was a gap, and the selective use of labels. So this clearly provides a business case that, look, like there's a big lag between what's received and what's processed. So this may be better received by the human resource department. Okay. Another one would be, meet Sandra. She's working in a struggling retail company, and the company director wants to know if the product pricing might be a possible cause for low sales. So Sandra has the following data. Like, she has the average product price per year since 2015, and a ballpark of the competitor's average price, which is about $233. So using this information, she somehow has to make a case to the director that, okay, it is possible that some products are overpriced. Some products may need to be downsized. So the analyst came back with this chart. Now you can see that the colors, the colors and the legend over here. So each product is separated by colors. Now it's you sort of have to look at each product and say, okay, this price was going up and then it eventually came down. And it's not the best, most intuitive graph, you know. However, if you switch this to another line chart where you can see that, okay, since 2008, product A and B, they were the oldest products, and over time, their prices gradually came down. This is a recommended range that we have to be in to stay competitive. And this is where our average price is for all the products. But here you can see that you have two of the oldest products coming down over time. You have product C, which is going up, and now it's within the recommended range. C is the latest product, and you may have to watch out for that one before it becomes overpriced. And product D is gradually approaching the recommended range. So this one is way more informative. It gives it gives the directors a better snapshot on what's really going on with their pricing, and then they can make a decision about this. So most key stakeholders are trying to solve a very, business problems one way or the other. So sometimes it might be an impact analysis of a new initiative, like the SCIG, for example. What is the impact analysis of the students helping the attorneys? It might be a whole, what is the impact analysis of this new not-for-profit initiative on the society? Has there been any improvement? Or the operational efficiency of a company? Is this company performing better or worse over time? Customer satisfaction, lead generation, revenue generation, and profitability, and several dozens more. But for the most part, people want to understand if there's a problem going on. Can something be improved? Does something have an impact? Is this worth continuing? Or can we showcase the results of our efforts to the audience? So, one second. So some of the key business problems, the top issues, managers have, or people viewing the visualization, sometimes, they're extremely busy with limited time, and extremely pressing needs and need their undivided attention. So a graph should be it should make sense to them within the first 5 to 10 seconds. Oh, interesting. I had no idea about this. What bad graphs lead to? No decision making or impact. No one uses a chart. People say, okay, that's interesting. But after that, the chart is simply tucked away. Just resources wasted, gathering, cleaning, and visualizing the data if there's no impact. But the worst of all is potentially incorrect conclusions leading to losses. So now I want to basically, have you all interact for these two case studies, because it's going to state a problem. And after that, there are going to be 3 charts, and you all can type in what you all think is the best chart, that satisfies this business problem. So an operations manager wants to know how his installation teams are performing against the estimated hours for the whole year, keeping within the hours budget. So they estimate for every single job, this job, it should take 40 hours. And after the job is done, they took 80 hours for this job. So it's in the operations manager's interest to keep the actual hours lower than the estimated hours. And based off that, he wants to know which team requires more oversight and which team should get rewarded for good performance. So there are 6 installation teams in all. And what would be the right visual for this, to understand this? The first one is a side-by-side bar chart showing the actual versus estimated hours per team. And I will be showing that on the next slide. The second one is a bullet chart showing the actual versus estimated hours, with the estimated hours showing as the bullet line. At the third one, where we've changed the units, instead of showing the total hours, I only care about the percentage difference between the actual and estimated hours for each team. And I color coded the hours the percentages accordingly. So let's go over the first one, a side-by-side bar chart. As you can see, each installation team has different working hours. Now, maybe you all can tell which team is performing the best and which team is performing the worst, but you may have to look through the graphs more closely. Okay. The next one is a bullet chart where the actual hours have been arranged from ascending to descending, with the team that performing the most hours on the left-hand side. And as you can see, these reference line represent the estimated hours. So using this, you might get a better idea on which team is performing the best and which one's performing the worst.
Are the letters at the bottom the team names?
Yeah, yes, that is correct. The team
Okay.
names are over here. I just kept them simple for now.
I'm really impressed that Team G estimated and they did better than they estimated. Like I don't think
Yeah,
that's ever happened in real life.
I know. It's a dream. It's a dream team, you know.
It's gonna take 10 hours. It only took me 5. I want to hire them.
Oh yeah. But here's the last one. A percentage difference between the actual and estimated hours. I don't care about the total hours because every team has different hours. So I'm just looking at the percentage difference between the two, and I've arranged them from this small to big, with the worst performing team here and the best performing team here. Now, amongst these three ones, which ones would intuitively make the most sense? Oh,
We're typing into the chat,
yeah,
right? A,
yep,
B, or
yeah,
C.
yep, yep. Yeah, exactly. That's what I expected. Like it's a unanimous C, you know, because this one clearly I followed the same thing. We've chosen the right metrics. It's not the summation; it's the percentage difference. I've chosen a bar chart. I think the bit, you know, rather than a bullet chart, because I don't need to see the estimated. But then I use selective use of color. I'm like, I want to focus the audience's attention, which is why I showed the worst performing team in red and the best one in green. And I also provided labels to show better context. So if I show this to the operations manager, he just look at it and say, okay, I'm rewarding this team. So the next one is a little bit more complex. So this is using the sample superstore data, which everyone's familiar with. He wants to know which subcategory is what is the subcategory performance. So which product subcategories have been consistently the top two subcategories in terms of sales, the revenue of sales since 2015. But the more interesting one is like, okay, which product subcategory has shown the most significant improvement? It was low before and it ended up becoming one of the highest later. Uh, so there are three graphs, yet again, which graph best represents these questions. So the first one is a stacked bar where you have all the subcategories over here, and you know the revenue of sales is divided by the color. Now, maybe with the stacked bar chart, you can sort of tell that, and like it's going to be very difficult, you know. I think like with stacked bar charts, people usually just look at the lowermost color. It's very hard to keep track of the colors in the middle.
Pranav, what's our goal at trying to understand the graph? Like, what are we trying to?
So the thing is that which two product subcategories have consistently been the top two since the start,
Oh,
2015.
okay. Top two.
Yeah, the top two, and the second one, which subcategory has shown the most significant improvement in volume of sales. Like say year one, they started off at 100, year two, 200, year three, 800. Okay, this is the first one. The second one is a line chart. It's yeah, it's definitely a better version because now anytime you have trends over time, like a line chart is usually a preferable choice. Now, looking at this, you'll get a better idea of which two product subcategories have been the best. But then again, you'll have to look at the color over here and then compare that with the legend. So there's still some more activity involved. Okay. And the third one is the same line chart. It's the same line chart, but with selective use of color and labels on the chart itself. So with this chart, I've clearly highlighted that these two are the top two, the phones and the chairs. And this product subcategory over here, that's copiers, has shown the most significant improvement over time. Now that being said, it's again, it's C baby all the way here. So the main thing is I wanted to show these examples to give you all a better comparison between a good visualization, a better and a best one. It's a very interesting chart between the effectiveness of a chart and the information. So there's no axis over here, just the effectiveness is going down, and then the information that you're providing is going up. So when you make a visualization that's super effective with very little information shown on it, you've sort of reached a genius level chart. And then usually the great charts are the ones which are very simple. You showed exactly what the user wants. Actually, even you help the user understand the data in a different way. Like, hey, you don't have to see so many variables. You just need to see these two. That's a great chart. But once you've crossed this point, you start reaching the fair chart zone where you start showing 8 charts on the dashboard. People have to look around to understand. And then you get to a point where people just look at it and like, okay, so what, So I hope you'll, use these tips to go out and make some memorable charts, and hopefully there will be a series of lectures soon talking about all the other points that I mentioned before. But that being said, I'm looking forward to hearing your feedbacks.
Pranav, it's an interesting comment. I was doing a consulting job for a company, a big company, a pretty good sized company. And there's more, I was doing training, by the way, and they were showing me their real actual data that they were using for a customer. And I'm telling you, some of those charts were the craziest things I've ever seen in my life. This one had about 7 different visualizations around it with a spreadsheet in the middle. And they present that to customers. So, not to embarrass them, I said, there might be a better way to do this. You might want to just brainstorm it. Why don't we just take a few minutes and brainstorm a different visualization? And they came back and said, we've been using this for 3 years and the customer loves it. And they said, and the boss loves it, we can't change it. So I just dropped it and moved on. But it was one of those things you had to stare at it for like 15 minutes to understand what it was. It was horrible, but I think this goes back. People are stuck on Excel. They want everything to look like Excel, and sometimes you just can't get it out of their mind. It's a tough situation for them.
And what are you thinking?
So it was really interesting to look at some of the bad examples and think about some of the standardized tests that we give to kids and ask them to interpret data, and we're giving them bad visualizations, and we wonder why our test scores are in the tank sometimes. It's painful. It's painful, which relates to why I'm here. And I'll talk about that later.
Bill?
Yeah, Walker.
You can hear me. Okay. Yeah. About your comments. Some customers just want data. I'm doing some work for a company based in Quebec, Canada. And when reporting, they want to see those revenue data. They want to see them, to analyze them, and then I can overlay the summary on it, but they want to see that data.
They want to see the spreadsheet, right?
Yes. Some people are just saying, I'm a summarized version of the spreadsheet. But yeah, some people are just saying that the audience wants it, and you got to give it to them. You can add some stuff, some artifacts to make it better to summarize. But yes, but they may want to have it.
Yeah, I always
And,
wonder, how do you persuade them to go in a different direction? I always say, show them by example. Take a little piece and show it to them and show them what the difference is. I don't know. You got to be careful because it is a customer. So
Yeah, it is. And talking about what Pranav said about having context with data and also design for the audience. And sometimes also we have to design for the client.
Yeah.
Like in this work I'm doing now, the client has a message, and I need to capture that message in that presentation.
Mm.
The presentation needs to be attractive, provide focus, all those attributes that Pranav has talked about. At the same time, the director needs to pass his message. And provided that the message is ethical and true, I need to design for that as well.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, this is Betty. I just wanted to comment on what Walker said. I hear what he's saying. I have the same type of challenge. And also, when the users are actually doing analysis and they discover some insight, they want to dig deeper. So they do want to see that data to try to understand what is causing those insights. So I do have the same type of challenge. It depends on the situation, I suppose, or who you work for.
Yeah.
Share that.
Betty, you're making us curious. Tell us more.
So I work for a university, and they are, I would say, they're starting to look a lot at data, and they're trying to understand what they're seeing. In the past, it was very difficult for them to see it, but now they're like, they're wowed by what they're seeing, but they need to understand more. So they really have to go into the weeds, not on everything, but on some of the findings, so that they can either make a correction, make some business decisions, start some initiatives to try to, to change something in the organization. I guess that's how I could best describe it.
So Betty, they once they see your vises, then they want to really dig deep because they maybe don't trust what they see. They want to know, where'd you get that and how did you find that out, kind of thing?
Yeah, I guess that's part of it, but I don't know that it's necessarily that they don't trust, and it's more like they want to understand.
Right, because they wouldn't
And
want
what's
to make
behind those metrics, right?
They wouldn't want to make a change that doesn't get at the root cause of the problem.
Right, they may want to correct something. Right?
In my case, I'm dealing with economists and statisticians. So they love data.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what it sounds like is, even though Pravna's presentation on probably the best visualizations may not be what the client wants. It might be the best visualization in theory, but they're not going to get it because they like the one that's horrible.
Yeah. No, there's an old saying, right? Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder.
Yes, it also depends on who you're presenting to. Like, I may have 3 different visualizations for 3 different audiences in the company. Depends on who you want to present it to. Some people just want more insight into the data, and I take a look at it and compare.
You know what I used to try, because I was in technology for a long time, and it's hard to sell them on new technology, especially the CEO. He never wants to spend a freaking penny. But anyways, that's a different story. Sometimes you have to go in and just show them what it could be. In other words, they may have a way to show it, but then you go behind the scenes, you bring something else out, and maybe you do it in pieces. That's what I used to do, a little piece at a time, maybe free trial, 30 days, let's try it, that kind of thing. And that's how you can kind of get them into the mode of, you can't show them the whole thing. You bring a little piece in and say, hey, what do you think of this? And the other thing I used to do is go behind the scenes. So I used to go that we had like five or six VPs. I used to go into one at a time and say, hey, what do you think of this technology? And then I go to another one and say, what do you think of this technology? Then when I wanted to, I create the justification for it, and there'd be a meeting with all the VPs. And I found the fact that they started to stick up for me. When I started to present, they'd answer the question from another VP. So I'm wondering if this approach would work in an analysis too, where you go in and just get a friend in the executive wing that you want to convince and just show them what you're trying to do to win them over, him or her over. You get a couple of people like that at the top, and then maybe you can move forward with doing the right thing with visualizations in a company.
One company tried that. I worked for AMR Research downtown Boston years ago. And as you said, Bill, it was they acknowledged it was very difficult to get a senior executive to buy into anything. So they had the lieutenant, they had the concept of lieutenant, the closest person to the senior executive that they will use as influencer. And in a sense, that's what you did.
I wonder if anybody else, does everybody have the same problem trying to convince the management team?
Yeah.
Use the
like-
most effective visualizations? Like everybody must have that problem.
Yeah, I think it's a bandwidth problem. I just feel like everyone is just, so many people are just living for the next day, and they're like, we don't care if there's something better, I'm just like drowning right now.
That's an excellent point.
I think we're kind of missing the point about the fact that it always been happening, but now we visualizing the data, so we have the same thing with data. But I'll give another example. Architecture. Have you ever worked with, well, my sister is an architect, so every time she deals with somebody, she proposed them the best practices in terms of design and all sorts of other things. And yet clients don't listen. They want their own. So the same thing with data, the same thing with all the other things. We sometimes too blind to see like what actually best for us because we want certain things to be a certain way. So I believe it's more about the approach, whether it's a data visualization, I don't know, educational project, architectural project, it doesn't really matter. There is always a client who might not see it the same way as you do, but it's all about the approach, kind of like to sell the idea of like, hey, like this is, it's gonna simplify your life. It will make your life much easier if you just look and give me a chance. So I guess the hardest part in my experience was always not to make that project, but also to present it. I've had examples when I can put together a beautiful project. It's not like I can't present it, but sometimes I can't convince the client that it is the best choice. So other members of my team would do that so enthusiastically and everything else, and it will slide in. They will accept it. So it's not about what it is, it's also about how you do it. There is a lot of, I guess, different parts.
Well, I think that's a good point, because I think we're talking about what's already created and changing it rather than the newly created. In other words, when we're going to create something new, we have the opportunity to use what Pranav's promoting as best practices, do it the best way. So I think it's more difficult when it's already exists than maybe something new.
Could be.
When's a good time for me to talk about why I wanted to talk to this group tonight?
How about now, right?
Yeah. I think
Okay.
so. Yeah.
Didn't want to like
Shannon.
mess up the agenda. So I work in a school department, and we have a new administrator who just came to us from Providence Schools. As some of you might know, there is likely going to be a new graduation requirement coming related to computer science. And I think this is a huge opportunity to do some data literacy as it relates to computer science. And one of the lines of thinking that I have is to use this year before this goes into place to try to get our adults more comfortable and versed in data literacy and data visualization, so that when it's time to do it with the students, they're more comfortable and confident. So I know that this group helps the Department of Education with some of their data visualization and dashboards that are now live. And I'm wondering if, so this new administrator came from Providence, and I was talking with her today about my idea, and she said, yes, in Providence, we had these beautiful dashboards that our teachers were able to access. So you can go into a meeting and have all of your STAR data or whatever the assessment data, that informs your conversations with colleagues and conversations with parents. And I'm wondering if this group's efforts with Rhode, because Providence is kind of Rhode now, if your work overlaps with those dashboards that were available to the Providence administrators and teachers, and if that would be something that we would be able to replicate for our teachers and teach them how to interact with these dashboards. And then I'm also looking for recommendations on access levels that you think we should advocate for as we start to roll it out. I think we're going to try to do it first with the middle school teachers to sort of pilot it, get our feet wet, get feedback, and then try to expand it to all the teachers, and then hopefully to the students in the middle school and high school.
Yeah, Shannon, what we can do is if you give me your contact information, I can follow up with you under the realm of the Data for Good project, and we can talk a bit in the background, see if we have a project that we can help you with. Make sure.
Awesome.
How about that?
That sounds wonderful.
Okay. So
and I signed up for all kinds of the learning modules and stuff through the Tableau website. Like I bought myself a good subscription, but I just haven't had time to dig into it yet. It's on my to-do list. I just haven't gotten there yet. So I'd love to do it with you, if that's possible.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get together offline and we'll see what next steps are.
Awesome.
I wanted to kind of summarize what I thought I heard. And so you're in education, and in your district, there's a new push for data literacy, and maybe even a new rule about what has to be taught K through 12 for data literacy. And so you're wanting to get the teachers trained in data literacy before suddenly they're held accountable for teaching students a skill that they don't even have themselves.
In many cases, exactly.
And you are looking towards the Providence system and thinking that those teachers are somewhat trained in data literacy and have access to student test score data on some government shared site between teachers.
There's potentially a data structure that could work for us. We use our student information system is PowerSchool. And I don't know what their system is. It could be that there are a couple of other vendors. But all of those systems that school districts use in the state all have to be able to talk to the eRide system. So I don't know if we take it once it's been filtered into the eRide system and then go represent it on our dashboards so that we could utilize existing structures, or if we'd have to do something specific to the PowerSchool vendor. I'd also love to link in the new early warning system. So the Department of Ed has this new early warning system, which is great, that I don't think LEAs really know about yet, but I would love to incorporate that in this project.
Yeah,
wow, I didn't
like,
even
it
know
sounds like Chris and
Providence
I,
had.
yeah, sounds like Chris and I should meet at this with you at the same time, because
Awesome.
he's got all kinds of educational assets at his fingertips there, so we can talk about that.
Yeah, we can combine training and data for good initiatives. Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Shannon, for reaching out.
Sure.
Exciting.
Look forward to it.
Okay, so what's next?
Actually, all we have is looking at the community page and talking about either sharing the next date for a meeting It's 7:30, so we have a little more time. I don't know if we have some questions we wanted to share or other people wanted to
Why
share
don't we,
any.
why don't we go to the community page, just so everybody knows it's there?
Okay,
And then we'll
great.
see if we have time to do other things after that. So who's going to share the community page? I can do
That's
it.
me.
Okay,
Got it all prepped. So
thank you.
I'm gonna say share. Mm. Oh, you know what? I think I moved my little guy. Does he look bigger now? Can you guys see a blue background that says community page?
No,
Nope, we're at the end slide on your
Oh, the
PowerPoint.
end. Okay. I
there you
thought
go.
There it is.
okay. So we are growing this community page. So we really want people in Rhode Island and New England to use this page as a resource. I think people are a little shy to post questions, but if there's a new Tableau feature and you're like, I have no idea how to use this, just post a little note on there. Hey, I heard about X feature. Has anyone used it? And then it can start kind of a conversation. Maybe you are looking for a certain data set, like you want to, for a project, create a cool viz, and you just don't have the data you need. So we have a lot of people that have, like Taylor, she teaches one of the data viz courses, and she has, I know the PowerPoint because I helped make it, literally hundreds of websites that have free data that's good, well organized. The census is a great place to get data. But so asking, hey, does anyone have a health data set for Rhode Island or the United States? We are hosting makeover. We hosted one makeover Monday so far, so you guys can get the links there and take the challenge to make a viz. Our previous meetings are all recorded. As you noticed at the beginning of this meeting, it said, we're recording now. Do you want to leave or are you going to keep on in? So we have all of those, hour to 2 hour meetings in there. It's a YouTube link and it's embedded right on our page. Obviously connect with other Tableau users. If you want to be trained on something, say, hey, can you do the next meeting on X? And we definitely take that into account.
With that said, Rebecca, I think the other thing we should point out, we don't necessarily have to wait till the next meeting. In other words, we're more and more thinking that we've designed these meetings by quarter, but that doesn't mean we can't meet in between. So if there's a demand for training, we'll create a special event in between the meetings where we'll do that training.
That's awesome. I remember, Bill, that we did talk about that in our last leadership meeting. You're going, making it quarterly makes it so we can have a big event, we can cater it, we can do this, but that doesn't mean we can't have the smaller, more targeted trainings to in between. And since there are 3 months in between, that's great, really great. And also, you can post your link to your vizzes. If you're working on a viz and say, hey, someone give me feedback, you can, say at Pranav, can you see if my viz is like one of the worst or one of the best? Have Pranav evaluate your viz. So with all that preview and hubbub, this is a screenshot of yesterday's page. And notice the video gallery, boom, boom, boom. You notice like the light green color, that's the data for good. Bill always has that same intro, slide. And all you can learn from all the presentations we've had. And I think I still have the actual page up, but of course my Zoom is in the way. So, probably we should put the link in the chat again. Will someone who can do the chat, will you go back up, scroll up to the link so you can copy paste? But here's the live version of our, look at that. It's a little dancing circle. So we have our description here. We're a group of Tableau enthusiasts in Rhode Island and surrounding southeastern area. We meet quarterly for networking, learning. And so you can see that our Tableau representative said that there's nominations for the Tableau ambassador, which Bill may be getting nominated by me. And we posted our Makeover Monday challenge, but you can post just like we can. Bill, will you confirm with me that people don't, if they put a little post in, will it not show up until you as the moderator approve it, or do things just go right on up?
It goes right on.
Okay, so we really are trying to find, make this a place where you ask questions and become members. So we have a lot of members, but they're not posting yet. So be brave. You be the first one to, make this more of a conversation, because we want to be a resource and we want to grow, our group. Oh, were we able to put a little post in there? Okay, Jen, nice. Here's it really big on my slide. I don't think that's going to help anybody though. Thank you guys for coming. And if Bill wants to, continue our conversation till later, we can do that. But I'm curious. We were always trying to grow our virtual attendance as well as in-person attendance. But keeping in mind the holidays, do you guys have a vote? Would you guys prefer a November meeting or December meeting? Go ahead and type it in the chat there, November 10th or December 8th. What would you be more likely to attend? Because I know November's like before Thanksgiving, before Christmas, but then December, 8th is like nicely snuggled. It's not too close to any holiday.
And we're hoping that's an in-person meeting, correct?
We're hoping. But
So
the Delta variant
So
may
think
have
about
something
this.
else
This
to
will be
say.
dinner included.
Dinner included. We meet a little earlier, right, at 5:30, Bill? So because we're providing food and we like network beforehand and eat.
Yep.
So we've only got one vote. Someone will come on November 10th. We'll have one attendee.
Okay.
2 people will come on November 10th.
Just a note for anybody who's interested, that week is the Tableau Conference. And it's a virtual conference, so that is like the 9th through the 11th. So that may.
Not so good.
People may be tabloed out that week.
Yeah.
Well, they may be in sessions that week because it's all virtual. So, and it's free.
But is it at night too? Because I think I remember it stopped at 3 p.m. The virtual one last year, because I think they were presenting out of California. So it was like, or no.
I honestly am not sure about the time frame.
Yeah, because I had a friend who was part of the Rhode group, and we were like, okay, I'm going to go to this session, that session. And we were like sending each other links, like, when are you going to go? What are you going to watch? And I was like, wait a minute. It says it's going to be until X time, but in Eastern time, that's, 3 hours difference. So they might not have any nighttime for Eastern Coast. But Tableau Virtual Conference is November 7th through 12th-ish. I'm just taking that from Jen, so, take with a grain of salt. I haven't searched the internet yet. Okay.
No, we could put the invite out for the December 8th meeting really in advance and see how many people sign up. If we're not getting a good sign up, or we could do it vice versa. Try the 10th. We're not getting a good sign up. We could try the 8th. Just something that we could poll in advance.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say.
All right, so help us make, our community more great. Put your questions, ask about data sets,
Yeah.
post your vises up there. We're not here to tear each other down. We're here to build each other up. We want to provide feedback to each other.
Excellent point.
And
Yeah,
I'm
the
glad
site
people
is for
spoke
the
up today.
the site is for the members, so use it. I got questions. I mean, I know I have questions a lot of times, and just post it out there, get the answer.
All right, should we adjourn, or Bill, did you have anything else on the
Oh,
agenda
Chris, did we
tonight?
have anything else on the agenda, or
That was everything. We covered everything tonight. Yeah. So I guess we can put we can put a poll or in our community page, some possible dates. We can see what the community says for our next meeting.
okay.
I just wanna let
also-
people know. Oh, sorry, Rhonda, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. There was an open question in the chat asking if we can put an activity alert on the community page. Can you
yes.
send it?
I asked that question about an hour ago, and they said no.
What does that mean, activity alert?
You'd get email updates on the community page, but Tableau kind of disabled that. They were afraid of people complaining that they would get too many announcements in their work emails.
I'm trying to post, so I feel bad. Walker, I keep having you come up on my screen. I was trying to take screenshot of if you guys want to save the chat, so that's why, Walker, I kept seeing your face there because I was trying to take a screenshot of the screen. But if you guys want to save the chat, there's like a little, once you have the chat box open on your screen, there's a little 3 dots or ellipses, however, next to the smiley face. And if you click that, it says save chat. So that way you can see everyone's name. If people wanted to put their email addresses in or their links to whatever, that way we can keep the conversation going. And then you can save the chat so you can see what people were commenting on. And I'm going to put my email in there if anybody wants to connect with me.
Hey, before we end, I got to give a shout out to Jen Snyder. She's our expert on survey information. She's kind of like the pioneer for us. She's leading the way for our recent Data for Good project. Thank you so much, Jen.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
I second that.
Thank you all.
You are
Expert,
a magician.
I don't know.
But yes, you are an expert. You're a magician.
The expert in the survey for sure.
Yeah, that was
I've been working
impressive.
with surveys for a long time.
Yeah.
This is actually the first time I've ever visualized survey data this way, and particularly with data that I've never really seen before. Usually it's my own survey that I'm familiar with the data and the questions and all of that. So this was a little bit of a stretch for me too, but it was fun.
Right.
And I can say I'm done.
Good. Hope you can show us tomorrow for 15 minutes only.
I like I said, I am traveling tomorrow. I thought the presentations were tonight. I will try.
Something, Jen?
I can show you if you like.
Hey, come on. Let's see what you got.
All right.
We still have till 8 p.m. I don't know, Bill. Am I breaking protocol?
Is everybody okay with this?
That would be great. Yes, please.
Yes, I am okay.
All right.
Oh,
So-
Walker says yes. So yes.
All right. So let's see.
Oh, and I love, Jen, you're like under the stars with your palm trees there.
I am in Hawaii right now. Yes. No. In my dreams.
As Jen prepares, she showed us what she had prepared last week, and it was just so exciting. And like Pranav was saying, just if you choose something just slightly different, it could really change how the person perceives the information. And oh man, and she was the one, Jen was like, oh, I use the color coding system from the icon, the logo, to do everything on my charts. And I was like, oh, that's like a big tip, right?
Yeah,
everybody loves to see their colors and their company.
The client gave us his hex colors for the company. So I said, I'm using it. So I actually created a
color palette
scheme.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. A color palette, and added it right to Tableau so that it was easier to get to. But anyway, I started with just a highlight. Rebecca, was it you that did the that showed us with the logo and linking it to the website? Love that, so I stole it. But I started with just a few key points on what the partner attorney said and what the immigration advocates said. And you'll notice that right away I'm setting up the tone for everything that the partner said is in orange, everything that the advocate said was in green, and that's going to carry throughout the entire presentation. So I've got how many of each responded, and side by side, I'm trying to line up similar questions. So the mean rating of the attorney's experience, the mean rating of the advocate's experience, and right on down the line. Next, I set up kind of a comparison. It was a beginning of a gap analysis of the knowledge and abilities that the attorneys want to see their students have, what's going to help them save them time as they work with the advocates. And then on the right-hand side is the tasks that were actually performed. So I lined them up with, as Rebecca mentioned earlier, the wording was all different. So it wasn't an exact match, but I did the best I could and matched up the categories so that you could see them side by side. Honestly, I wasn't satisfied with this because it's not enough of a gap analysis for me. So I took it one step further and I took these percentages, put them in their own Excel file, uploaded that.
That's what I did too, Jen, because you just couldn't exclude enough of the data to make it meaningful.
Well, this is what I came up with.
Oh.
So, and what I'm calling it is a gap analysis for potential training opportunities. So we don't know why students didn't do a particular task. It could have been because the attorneys weren't confident in their abilities. It could have been any number of things. So what I did was I took the attorneys, and I do have to add my legend, and I don't know what happened to it. The attorneys are in orange. This time the green would have been hideous here, so I made the advocate responses gray instead. And you can see a direct comparison. But then over here, I'm showing the gap. What's the difference between those two responses? And I have it sorted by the gap so that you can see what has the highest potential for training. So maybe they want to focus on training the students how to compile a case index because the attorneys really want it, but the students haven't been doing it. The other thing that I added to this, I love parameters. I put up this sort by. So right now it's sorted by the gap. You can also sort it by the attorney responses to see which ones hit the top. And you can also sort by the student responses.
Let us look at it. Let's look. So students, they overperformed. They did the conduct client meetings way more than supposedly the attorneys wanted them to. Or that beforehand, the attorney said, I only need a little bit of this. But then when the kids got into the law offices, they actually had them do a lot more than they anticipated them needing to do.
Maybe the attorneys are just so pressed for time and have so many other demands on them, they shortchange that piece of the process.
Right. I thought maybe, well, I think another thing that the attorneys said that they didn't need a lot of was calling the clients and the witnesses, but then they ended up using it a lot. I can't remember, but
yeah, right here, contacting client and meetings and interviews, or conduct, I should say. But if you think about it, those are kind of important because if you're going to have the students or the advocates writing up any of these reports or affidavits, they have to talk to their client. But anyway, so that was my gap analysis. And then I went on to some of the partner attorney feedback. And these were all Likert scale questions, rate on a scale of 1 to 5. So what I did was I've given the mean rating, the low end point. So what was the lower end of the scale, as well as the high end point. And then I have it balanced at 0% is in the center of the neutral response. So that rating of 3 is balanced on 0, so that it's kind of like a fulcrum to show you where the balance is. And I did use Pear's recommendation of putting the axis out to 100 on both sides, so that you have this white space here. that really shows that those responses were very positive. I put the rating scale in there so that
I love that. The
viewer
rating
can
scale
see.
really helps. I would
That
even
was
put it
a
on
nice
top,
little-
Jen. I would put it on top. so
Well,
people can see,
I
oh, look
wanted
at that
to
dark
put it
orange.
in between so that it was next to both.
Relevant
of-
to both
yeah.
parts. Yeah.
So that it was close to both sets of questions. That was a nice little trick too, that I learned from Andy Kriebel. A lot of what I know, I've learned from Andy Kriebel.
And he does Makeover Monday, isn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah, he's the Makeover Monday guy, and Tableau Tip Tuesdays, and yeah, he
I
does
was
a
gonna
lot
say,
of stuff.
where did you learn it from him? Through his books or?
No, from watching his Makeover Mondays.
Oh, when he
So
creates the
it's
chart.
when he does a Watch Me Viz.
Watch Me,
Where-
the Watch Me
Yes,
quiz.
where he is actually doing the Makeover Monday project. And he throws in lots of little tips and tricks. And in fact, this week, one of the tips that he had was using a parameter to sort your data, sort your viz. And that's what I used on the gap analysis. I immediately put that to work. So this is a familiar screen. This time we're looking at the immigration advocate feedback. And again, I tried to do kind of a mirror image of the attorney's questions versus the advocate questions. But this is all set up the same way. Next, we have, everybody's in the way there. Next, we have the reflections on case rounds. This one I did a little bit differently because everything was so positive. I wanted this one to be different. I still have the mean rating set up. Oh yeah, I've got some tooltip in Viz or Viz and tooltips. So 52% of the advocates said always or frequently when it comes to attending case rounds. And then I've put the actual results in the tooltip. And same here. And this is attending check-ins.
I like that.
As well as how helpful were team check-ins.
Jen, you've got double thumbs up from Walter.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you.
Uh,
So again, I've got the mean ratings so that they're right there, easy to see. This time I did put the rating scale at the top because I didn't really have the space for it in the middle. But what you're looking at here is the percentage of who said strongly agree, agree, and neutral. And then the percentage that is shown is the percentage of the respondents who said agree or strongly agree. So those top two boxes, as they say. And that is, let's see, I have one other slide. And that's just the rest of the attorney responses that I didn't put anywhere else.
Wow, fabulous work. Unbelievably, really good.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to wrap it up. It's almost 8, so we're 3 minutes of. Hey, thank you so much, Jen. Now you're gonna send me out a TWBX file.
I can, yep,
Oh, he
Yeah, that would
he
be
wants
great.
all
I want to
your
get
work.
it to.
yeah.
I want to get it to Jonathan.
Yeah, and I also downloaded it as a PowerPoint.
Okay, yeah, that's what he wants. Because I
Right.
want to convince him that he might want the interactive version.
Yes, the interactive version can be fun.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
didn't do a whole lot of it though, because I knew he didn't really want it.
Yeah, I'll
So-
get him there.
Jen,
A little
thought
bit
it
at a
was
time.
one thing might be interesting because I noticed you organized by, okay, these are all the Likert scale type answers. Some for the attorney, some from the student, some from X. And then you moved on to the other because the data visualization lends itself to a certain way. It might be interesting to put all the student stuff together like, okay, here's the Likert thing and here's the other thing. I don't know if it would fit pretty on one screen, but since we think of people in buckets, oh, what do the students want? What do the attorneys want? Even though the Likert scare and everything is different.
That is
could
how
be.
I did it. I had
Oh, okay.
one page was all of the attorney responses, and then the next one was all of the student responses. They were grouped because they were related. So
Got
it
it,
was
got it.
one set of questions was about the collaboration with the company itself, and the other was working with the students.
But it was still the
That type of
attorneys who
thing.
were the voice. I
Right,
get it.
right.
Nice.
Okay, thank you.
And
so
the
much.
clue is the color.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much. I want to say hi to Pierre too. He's part of the team, by the way. How you doing?
Gotta unmute myself. I'm doing fine. I've enjoyed the full meeting here, and thank you for allowing Jen to present. Enjoyed it very much, seeing everything.
It's excellent. All right. All right, I want to thank you so much. So what, our next meeting tentatively, I guess we got to rethink what that is, right? Or we want to stick with the December 8th date. We'll have to talk about that offline. Okay, all right. Anything else, Chris, you want to say?
No, I
Rhonda?
put that poll question on the community page, so it's an excuse to go there and see, vote for your preferred time.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much, Pranav, for presenting tonight. Thanks.
Yeah, excellent work,
Yeah,
Prabna.
great.
Good work.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, thank you, Rebecca, for your comments. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
night.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.
Night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you all.